attention, I said, we got the right size pipe there. It's just that,
I mean, the water coming through,
right, when you
that
got
is cut down.
Yeah.
right, you're coming from an 8
Yeah,
to a 12.
yeah.
Well, and some of these
But look-
situations appear to cut through neighborhoods.
Right, that, see, the break offs is what broke it down.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that breaks it down
Yeah,
even more.
yeah. And then you look at the distance it's coming from.
Right.
The longer the distance is, the least you're gonna have in pressure.
What would, if this had been, let's say, from your expertise, y'all guys, if we had to do that boring thing, just a suggestion, what size pipe would you go with?
Straight 8 all the way down. Because that's what they're coming out of this plant, 8.
And just tap in like you said?
Just tap in like that, go down there. You tie that into that 12 in thing, you stand better pressure. If you tie 8 into a 12 and then a 10 into a 12 from both sides, you don't lose pressure that way. Because you got your wells pumping directly into it. And the booster pump gonna kick on and keep the pressure right.
To pressurize.
Yeah.
Because don't I recall you saying at some point you increase
Right, I tried to
thing
boost pumps
from
on
didn't
in
help?
hand.
Matter of fact, Mr.
Right.
Hershey mentioned that.
Right,
But I
right.
remember, the best definition you gave
Right.
was supply
Right,
and demand.
right.
We got the supply,
Just don't have the
we don't
demand.
have the demand. But if we got 60 PSI, you could always turn it up.
Yeah, I can pump it up to 70 PSI. But it'll look at your pipe small.
And we wrapped up with looking at putting this water pump tank on whose property? Didn't they?
It's gonna be back on that side, on theirs over there, but the power will come from across
On
the
the new
street.
folks'
Right,
side.
right.
So they're
right.
giving up that kind of land.
Right,
What
right.
type of foundation are we talking about,
Well, we,
concrete foundation?
Well, we can see,
Yeah.
you're talking about getting that stuff over here somewhere.
This is the young man we've been waiting on.
Right.
He's really older than he looks. But this is Mr. David Linedecker, our city engineer. And one of the things, if you would, everybody have a seat. Just to, and I made a,
You want to pull another table?
How you doing? Assistant Chief.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
Both of the water plants operate?
It's gonna be an
Yeah.
issue. Here,
Whenever we have low pressure, usually one of the
This
water
is what we'll
plants
do.
down.
This is everybody's gonna be here.
I bought this from the fire department, this is a 2000.
Hey, did
This is a tight
you upgrade, set of plans on this? Remember the one I gave you to, for make some copies of it?
The public management's got those.
Okay.
They've got all of them on electronic.
Oh, okay.
They drew those.
Here, let's put this map up here,
Okay.
and then we'll share, Mr. Linedecker, a little bit about what's going on. And then, yeah.
Public management's got all this electronic.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, we need some more copies of this.
But let's start with what we ran into.
Okay.
You want us up there?
This past Friday, let's talk a scenario. This past Friday, it was confirmed that the water pressure in our fire hydrants at the Brookside Apartments, across from the new ones, and the Chevron. Chief, I'll let you share with them where it went down to. Open it up for your
We basically went out there, and I was a witness to the testing that Bureau Veritas, the Superior Fire Sprinkler System contractor, as well as Public Works USA, Debbie was out there. Basically what we did is we opened up the fire hydrant that was on the Brookside side, and we attached our pressure gauge to it. We got a pressure gauge of 60 PSI. Then we opened up another fire hydrant to get a flow test, and it went down from 60 PSI, and we're talking about the 2.5 orifice. We went from 60 PSI down to roughly 10. Then somebody, what's his name? Mr. Herschel from Bureau Veritas, he said that the fire department, we connect to the steamer, the fire head. So Mayor was out there, we said, let's do another test to show you that it's gonna drop even more. So when we did the second test, this time we opened up the 5-inch steamer, open it up, and sure enough, it went from 60 PSI down to roughly 2.0.
So we got a valve closed there, or partially closed there. Because it's not been like that. When both water plants operate in that line,
I checked all the valves.
okay. Well, there's something wrong, there's an obstruction or something. Because 60 PSI is static is a good pressure, that's a good pressure. If both of those water plants are operating,
Right.
all along, we tested all along, Richards Road, when that was put in, we had great fire protection from fire flow all the way there. So we either got, one of the water plants wasn't operating right then, or we got a valve, or that's partially closed, or there's obstruction.
I go back and go.
It'd be easy to go there and test
Right.
on Richards Road, test two of them on that line there, see what they look like. And then you know if it's good, if you go into the Brookside and you see a drop, you're pretty sure where the obstruction is. And that's horrible, the pressure to drop that much.
Right.
There, I mean, you could not only have enough water to fight a fire, but you could collapse the line and
Exactly.
pull the pump on it.
If there was a real obstruction though, it wouldn't go up to 60 from the zero. I mean, if there was
Well, there's nobody
a
using
leak
any
or-
water, it could be a hole that big or an inch hole, and it would pump it back up to the static, whatever the static is, 60.
Mm.
But when it goes, when they open the fire hydrant up, then it doesn't, enough water can't get through the obstruction, or, I would suspect that the valve partially closed there. All the construction that's been going there, somebody closed the valve and didn't open it all the way up.
I'll check it.
Now, when you say construction, you're referring to like the construction across the street?
Yes, sir. And we've been having, I'm sure there's been cutting water off and on, and when they built the convenience store here and stuff, the water gets cut on and on. It's easy to forget, somebody forget, they only just turn the valve on a little bit.
And those are some of the valves we
Right.
checked, Mr. Butler.
But I would check on Richards Road, and then you get a pretty good idea, because you got a two-way flow.
Right.
Richards
right.
Road.
I tell you what, right by the store, that's probably gonna be the only one that probably would be. So let me check it again.
Okay.
I remember when I checked it once before, because I sent it down over there for somebody over there.
While we're doing this, why don't you take a quick look?
Okay.
It's right down the street.
Okay.
While we're talking, please.
Okay.
Thanks.
Be right back.
But there's something wrong, because both plants operating on it right off the roof like that, we shouldn't have that problem, because we haven't had it before. And 60 is a good static pressure.
So, Mr. London,
Yes, sir.
you said we've never had issues with the pump volume before?
Not
As
on
far
Richards
as-
Road. We did way back there, excuse me, but we went and looped the water line on all the way where it's 2 feet on the Richards Road and put that second water plant up there. And the pressures come way up afterwards.
Do we know about the last time it was checked? That's about, what, 11 years old, 12, something like that?
It's probably been 5 or 6 years ago.
That it was checked. The project's been there about 10, 11 or something like that.
Yeah, well, the project was there before the water line was looped. And we looped it afterwards because they were having problems there and stuff. And we carried it all the way up. You can see it goes all the way up here to 1098, and then the new water plant's right up there. Now, when we had that problem with the elementary school, you know, we discovered that one of the water plants wasn't operational.
Yeah, and we found that we had a leak with that one, but theirs was they never reached that static. Theirs was low pressure in the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a water line.
But
pressure.
60 is going to be about as good as anybody's going to get around here in any city.
So when you say the city looped it after Brookside was built, that was something the city got involved in and did to take care
City
of
got
that
a
area?
grant
Okay.
through community development, and we built a 12-inch main all the way along Richards Road.
Okay, so it is 12 all the way along Richards.
Yes, sir.
So it's not 10, okay, I thought you said 10 a minute ago.
It should,
Okay.
yeah.
He said it goes from 6 up there.
Now, one of the schools of thought that came from the various professionals was because it cuts down, because, what is it?
It's to a 6 right here.
Okay, so it goes from a 6 to the 12
But then
Coming
we've got,
from,
from the tower.
coming from Cameron Road.
Right.
But then it's fifth on this side there. Now, if one of these valves is partially closed or completely closed,
Mm-hmm.
that would make total sense what you saw there.
Sure. And if it's not, any thought on the next, say,
We have some
big-
kind of obstruction lines partially crushed or, but like I said, it's easy to isolate because you can start on Richards Road with 2 fire hydrants there.
just work
Jack, and you got really good pressure and really good flow rate there. Then you can just go down the line and you find where it is between one section.
Okay. Yeah, I think they went up to the Chevron, Chief, on one of the tests, and then
Yeah,
further down
yeah.
to, just to check the area a little bit.
Yeah, I wasn't there for the Chevron, but from the Brookside to the other fire hydrant, I was there.
I think they did a flow test, I forgot about that, that's right, when they did the Chevron.
So that would just been about 3 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say about 3-4 years ago.
Do we have any documentation?
I never did get a copy of it, but I'm sure we can find somebody that does.
And who would have done it?
It would probably be the fire insurance people that were insuring the Chevron station.
Double checking the rest. So Chief, how soon could you get your hands on that testing equipment?
I already printed it out. I just left it at the station.
Yeah, but
Okay.
the meter and stuff.
Yeah, he wanted
Is it
to see what
local,
looked
or-
like. I think they have a facility in Houston that you can purchase it from.
Okay.
Or you can get people to come out and, the school had somebody that kind of came out and did it for them, the fire insurance people. You can rent their time and theirs to do it for you.
Yeah, but
They
Chief
read.
has the experience, we may as well get the equipment and apply that money toward always having it.
But let's wait, I bet Darrell finds the valve close. Which would be the easiest thing to fix.
Mhm.
Mr. Linedecker.
Yes, sir.
With the, I'm not worried about the 12. I just need to know from you, when it comes to the size 8 pipe, that would be sufficient, it would be able to give me the sufficient GPMs for the 3-story apartments as well as the 2-story buildings on Richards Road.
Well, that was part of the review I did on those apartments, and I recommended they do some fire testing out there. 3 stories, they may have to have a booster, some kind of booster pump system on there. Because as you go up, every foot you go up, you lose a half a pound of pressure. So if you, 3 stories is 30 foot, you've lost 15 pounds of pressure. So instead of starting at 60, you start at 45 already. So
So you recommended that for new, are we talking about Brookside, or we talking about the new development?
the new development, they may well, if they're 3 stories, they may well have to have some old internal booster pumps to boost that pressure up.
So you recommend they have their own booster?
Well, at least do a good test to know what they got into, because, and whoever designs the fire suppression system for that, would have to have that to be able to design the sprinklers and all of that.
But with what we have right now, are we able to, since they're gonna, with their pump system, are we able to provide them the pressure to tap into for their pump system?
I don't know that without seeing that.
Well, I got you.
Yes. But that,
Right.
We had, Ms. Rogers, whose name is Mr. Herschel?
Herschel,
Herschel, with Bureau Veritas. What's this? He's fire something?
he's a fire inspector.
Fire inspector, was out there along with this company, and this is the type of thing that they said would take care of the entire area. Between Brookside, the current concerns for the gas station right there, as well as the new development and some other development that's gonna take care of that corner. What some of the conversation likened to is, you know how when we're expanding out into an area,
Yes.
we need to add a lift station
Yes,
to get it to the next nearest lift station on Wynn. That's kind of the scenario that I got from them, that just based on where we are, the activity there, and the distance, if you will, I guess, from the water towers, that you just almost needed something centralized to help with that part, especially from a fire standpoint. It seems the rest of it's okay, but it was really dramatic when they opened up the
now, I
fire
would think
lines.
that the new apartment house project may have to have their own pump station and something to boost the pressure for a sprinkler system. But
Okay.
I don't think the city can probably pay for that. I mean, that's.
Well, it's a combination of either that or tax abatements. I don't know which one would be worse, but with
Well, that-
Brookside being the largest taxpayer in the city for many years, and now, again, I'm thinking about that gas station. They've got the heavy-duty commercial dryers there, and it is constantly, nice and full, which is
Yeah.
good for business, but not good for potential sparks at a gas station and things of that nature. So it's
Yeah.
kind
I
of
would
all of
think
it.
there's plenty of water there for everything that's there. But we'll see what Daryl says. I don't have a problem coming back out and when we do a flow test, that we know that we can have somebody at each water plant to make sure that the pumps come on there and everybody's running there and everything. And before we spend a ton of money, I think we ought to make sure that we've covered all the bases. I don't really think there's a water pressure problem for us there. I have no doubt that three-story apartments may require some kind of
Yeah.
booster pump system, and
Sure.
most of those do.
Right.
Most of it, but I'm not gonna get into the finances, that's not my business, but if you build apartment house projects and you have to have boost pressure and stuff, it's mostly on the developer.
Sure.
But it's just for that.
Yeah, and that, I agree with you. I'm just thinking past that. Right now, they've already volunteered to have it put on their land, so they're giving up some of their retail space that they had planned. But beyond that, if they do that just for them, it's gonna be significantly cheaper, number one. But number two, if we run into an issue over here, now the city's back to square one and having to do something either for Brookside or the gas station or somebody else.
Well, the school had the same issue, and stuff, but I think we probably need to spend a little bit of time checking everything out there, because I
Oh,
think
yeah.
there's something wrong out there.
Yeah, how soon can, Chief, if you get that to Ms. Dickey today, we can cut the check for that today.
Okay.
And then if it's in Houston, you and the guys can ride up to get it maybe tomorrow. How soon would you be available so we can start doing the checking and test? You leave when?
I leave on Friday.
Oh, yeah, see, we need to check it before Friday, because he's going to
Thursday.
Japan, and for some reason he won't be available.
Yeah,
Oh, I'll try to be available.
Thursday afternoon.
No, before,
I don't
because that way,
I'm in Japan.
you guys could be in
I'm
one of the
not
different,
taking my phone.
with your expertise to, so by phone.
Kicked off.
I was gonna ask, right,
We know the pumps kicked off.
They did.
Yeah, because we had Glover go and double check, so we went to one plant, and we went to the apartment one, so the pumps actually did kick off.
All the pumps were running in. Okay.
But to do like even the isolation thing that you
Yeah.
talked about, see if we can't.
I can do it Thursday
That's fine.
afternoon, probably 2 o'clock or after 2.
are these valves, is this map pretty consistent as far as the valve locations? You can come out here and.
I don't know. I didn't draw that map, the public management folks did. I think they drew it from a map that had been here forever. Mr. Derby or something was an old-time engineer. I never knew him.
Rigby, yeah,
Way back
I
there.
read
so-
about it in history.
Yeah, but, so I don't know. I would think they're probably not real accurate. I think
So there could be a possibility that there's a valve missing.
There's a few things that Glover and Silver in their work have found. I think Glover kind of updated one of these and got it to you too.
No, public management is
management?
they got all the electronics, they drew all that, so they should update that.
Okay.
The plans as far as that 12-inch I put that in, I've got a full set of plans, as built on those, I can get you all those. Exactly where the valves are.
Okay. If we can get those, I mean, we can go out tomorrow and assist the city in doing a valve survey, just to make sure that all these valves are located and open.
Yeah. I'm almost positive, you know, I'm not a betting man and I'm tight, but I'm almost positive that, that some of those valves are probably not all the way open. And one of the problems in Prairie View that I've run into, and most of the other cities, at one time, there were people putting, most valves either open to the right or open to the left. And the city has one or the other. Prairie View's got some of both.
Oh, thanks.
So, you know, you don't know for sure.
It's open or closed.
Yeah.
Then,
So you have to work with it to find out.
Mr. Linebacker,
Yes, sir.
how closely involved are you with the construction of the gas station?
The gas station.
Yes, sir.
I just did some, check their plans and stuff. I wasn't involved with the construction at all.
Okay, my reason why I'm asking, so if there would have been an issue with the water pressure when we built the gas station, would you or somebody would have been contacted, I would imagine, correct?
I think somewhere in my files, I've seen an email where they did a flow test and it was real good out there.
And it was fine,
Yes, sir.
but
That's what I remember.
you said the fire insurance company should have it.
I would think, and I also helped them get their gas from the city of Waller out there. But I could look for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point, Councilman, because that way, you know, again, we've got another check along the way or something to see if we can spot. Because if their company did the checking and we had no one checking for us,
I would imagine the chief can go out there. I imagine when it fell to 10 pounds, it was just kind of just barely flowing out of it, right?
it fell to zero.
Yeah. So if you go out there and did two of them, even today on Richards Road, you can probably get an idea what it looked like, you know, see if the pressure stays up. But it'd be better to have a pitot tube or whatever you need to do an exact flow test. And if you can't find one, I may be able to find one.
I mean, you see, you're
That was from the 2.5 to
because then they went around and I think it was a city
How many gallons per minute, do you remember?
I'm wondering if when you get a chance, see if you can find anything on the Chevron gas station. See if we have any type of file
You want him to do it right now?
whatsoever. We can look after. I don't think it's, but yeah, just note that way we can double check that.
Yeah, there's something wrong there.
Pretty much trick.
Something has to be closed or there's an obstruction. Because 60 PSI is a real good static. That's
Should be
more than
pushing it out.
Yeah, that's more than I would expect here. But to drop off that fast, there has to be something really blocking that line.
But can I switched from engineering for a reason, but if it's set closed for an extensive period of time, then there's going to be a certain buildup by itself, just because it's been closed and the line is not.
There should be, it's a round knife blade, pretty much. Once it opens up, it ought to clean everything back out.
No, I'm saying from the pressure, if it's closed for a long time,
Yeah,
then that's going to be a nice buildup of pressure, just waiting to come out. The water's
Well,
looking for an exit,
yeah.
doesn't have one. So when you do open it, the 60 is a good number, but it leaves pretty quickly. At least it did Friday.
Yeah, if the pressure was that low, I would expect when all the students were there, when they came home at 5:30 or 4:30 or whatever, and took a shower, you would have noticed that with that kind of fall.
Yeah. But see, this was like 9:30 in the morning, where a lot of them are there. And it was on what, Friday?
Yes, sir.
Right, but it's
Oh,
summertime, so
Yeah,
a lot of them are gone.
they're all gone now.
Correct.
Yeah, that's true. Again, adding to the buildup because of the lack of use and pressure.
You would think the water use would be way down citywide in the summertime when the students are gone. I don't know how many of them stay for summer school,
But doesn't that build up the pressure because they're
Yes.
gone? It's trying to get out, it's not being used, so we got the great amount, at least at that point.
But it would be easy to start going down and checking all these fire hydrants and see what it looks like. And, you know, if you're gonna get your own flow meter, just kind of keep a record of that and stuff. We'd have a pretty good idea. We'd probably find an obstruction or something pretty quick. Which is scary, you know, if you're a fireman, you go out there and I've seen it before where there's no water coming out of the fire hydrant, so.
Chief Brador,
Yes, sir.
since he brought that up, if a fire broke out at Brookside right now, what would the fire department do about that fire?
We basically call for additional tenders to
Come
come.
call for the tenders.
Right. And we have our own tender.
Right.
Extra 3,000 gallons, and we
Yes, sir, just checking
call
on.
other departments to bring theirs.
So if so the reason why I'm getting at that, if a fire was to break out, the apartment complex would break down. The city would have the resource in order to.
They would do their
That's a
best, but it
Yeah, we
might,
can do our best.
Okay.
but it might not
How-
be as
how's
quick.
the gas station?
And it might not be, they may not be able to put it out as quick if there was
Okay,
a
so-
fire
so-
hydrant sitting
Right.
like that.
Okay.
I mean, because either way,
Okay.
no matter what the issue is that's causing this, the solution
Oh, good.
isn't one
Okay.
that's going
And I
to
will see
be
you back in
fixed
a few.
within a
Thanks.
month, unless it's an obstruction, obviously. But so, what I'm just trying to ensure is that we can put out a fire if need be.
Right. Well, one thing I can, I don't know if I said this last night, but one thing I can share with you, Councilman Randall, the fire department, we're gonna do our best. We're gonna give our 100%, 1,000%
No
to
question
protect the
asked.
property and the lives of the citizens of Prairie View. That's open construction right now, so it's almost like a tinderbox, you know, if something was to happen.
And Monaville usually comes with their big, they've got a lot of tender trucks.
That is correct.
Too, with, they have some pretty big ones. They even come, Katy, they have more than Katy does.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any
More
fire.
alarms is what he's saying,
Right.
to ask for more.
That's all. That's
That's for more
that's all I'm
resources.
asking
Yeah.
from the
We,
city.
if a fire happened, it might be beneficial to tap a fire hydrant on Richards Road. Even if you had to lay more hose, you know, if we find out it's something with that line going in.
Yeah. My biggest concern, if you was to attach a 5-inch line to that, to our engine, and then you know, asking for that demand, and it's not there, you know, my hose is collapsing.
Yeah, or the city line.
And there you go.
And the tenders aren't able, you can't fill them up locally, you gotta go away from the fire just to get more water. What's it like over by the station, Chief? when you
Low.
speak over?
Low.
It's low at
Oh,
the
yeah.
station?
Oh, yeah. Right there at, those 2 hydrants.
Now, let me ask you this, Mr. Linedecker. Are Ellen Powell
Yes, sir.
and Richards Road connected how?
I don't know that
With
they
these
are.
water lines? Well, that's a part of my concern. If they're not connected.
It's on a dead end line. Ellen Powell's on a dead end line.
Now, should it be higher or lower on the dead end?
Lower, it's gonna be a lot lower. It's 1 feet on there, and it only shows a 6-inch line.
Yeah.
So you would expect it to be low there, and you wouldn't expect to get much flow.
But if it's, if it goes down from a 8, say, or 10 to a 6, doesn't that help increase pressure because it's got a smaller,
Velocity.
But it's only feeding one way. And
okay?
if you had to design this, this would not be considered legal now.
Gotcha.
It was when it was built, I'm sure,
Yeah.
but TCQ let you only put one fire hydrant on a dead end 6-inch line.
So how is that one connected, if it's connected, and I'm just asking, to Richards Road?
It's connected onto the line here on Business 290. That's the only connection it has. Now, it
So how does
should
it get over
be,
to Richards from there?
it has to come in from 290 or from the north there on Richards Road.
Okay,
Somebody really should loop, and it could go back into this right over here, this little subdivision here. It would help both of those, that subdivision and Ellen Powell.
because that would loop the subdivision.
That would loop the subdivision and Ellen Powell together, and you'd have 2 feeds for everybody.
So you're saying loop here and on this side as
Well, that would be the best, but if you only had one shot, you might be able to get over here pretty easy through an open lot
I got you.
and stuff. But you want to have the lines looped as much as possible, so you have 2 feeds, plus the water quality.
That flow, yeah.
It flows through. If you get a dead end line, those guys are going to have to flush a lot and stuff. I've seen water come out look like ketchup. after we sat in lines for a long time, we've seen some flushes.
So from here, we have a 6 going into a 12, and then from Cameron Water Plant, we also have a 6 going into a 12.
I believe that there's a 12 tied on one end of that, and I'll have to look and see.
Because to me, that's
Small
that.
going in to fill a big.
Exactly.
Well,
lose
you got
a lot of volume.
you get 2 feeds, but we'll look at that and see, but I bet Darrell will find something wrong with that.
But he said the one at Chevron was open.
He did, he just
Fine, so he's checking the valve, he said that's in front of Brookside. Just to
That would be
double
the one that I would think it, because that, I guess that fire hydrant is somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's right there at the, street,
Okay.
right there at like the beginning entrance of the,
So there's gonna be 2 valves, there'll be a valve from the 12 to into there, and then there's a valve on the fire hydrant, right?
yeah.
And stuff, so either one or both of those could be partially closed, or there could be obstruction.
Well, while we're out here, we have the engineer here, y'all want to go open up that valve, that hydrant? Byron can run to the water plant, stay here at this water plant, I'll run over to Cameron, and we can just verify what the system's doing.
Both of them run?
Real quick.
Do that real quick and be done?
It'll only take a minute just to verify that one scenario, and that'll tell us right there if we're getting the capacity that we need from both of these
You
plants.
got
until
both
this
of you
12
guys
is
monitoring the
We
plant.
won't be able
Do
to
that real
measure
quick?
it. I don't have a problem with that.
We won't be able to measure, but we'll
You'll-
see.
Right, you'll see how it's coming
Plant's
out.
operational.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
You'll
the
see
point.
the valve
Like you
move
said,
out.
60 PSI, it should be shooting now.
yeah, it shoots
Okay.
here to the other side of the wall.
I'm gonna go to Cameron, you're gonna go to this plant. I'll go-
Okay, I will
Okay,
meet y'all
you
out
got
there.
a tool, chief?
Brookside?
I'm gonna go